you were brought up to the main roster relatively quickly. You were on Raw with Bob Hardcore Holly as your tag team partner, which sounds like the most terrifying prospect to ever be faced with. Who's your first partner going to be? Hardcore Holly. Talk a little bit about him and being paired with him at the beginning and how you felt going up that early.
So I remember the call forever because I had started on Raw way too soon, like incredibly undeserving of a cable television role, but I got it. So I can't say, hey guys, I'm not ready. All I could do is try and trial by fire, get ready as I go. I looked terrible. My gear was terrible. My in-ring, like what I was able to do fundamentally wise was barely passable. So I knew it wasn't totally working. The stuff with Randy Orton worked because there was a story to it, but I knew it wasn't really working, and nobody in the locker room wanted to help me out. There were so many guys who shortly thereafter left WWE that were just, ugh. When I see them today in locker rooms and they kiss my ass, I can't not remember you not wanting to do anything, but whatever. I kiss their ass back. That's wrestling. We're lying to each other. But I get the call, and it's one of the head writers of Raw, and he tells me, he goes, hey, we're going to move towards you being one of the tag team champions. So at the start of the call, what? Like, I'm going to be a champion? And to me, I did, like, when you're on TV for 30 seconds, you think you're famous. So now to hear that, I was like, just blown away. And then he said, and your partner is going to be Hardcore Holly. And it was just like dropped call, like, oh, cool. I did not want to do it. And I had a lot of respect for Bob, but I was scared of Bob. But I went into that full blown, I want to earn Bob's trust, but I also want to do this correctly. I want to travel with him. I want him to teach me how to work out because he was jacked to the gills. I want to earn him over and make this work. And we did that. Bob helped me at the gym. He helped me in the ring for the most part. He did have some like curmudgeon, like old man tendencies, which is weird because he's killing it now. However, there is something that happened with Bob that was the defining moment, and I'm not going to ride with Bob anymore, was he had set up in the early days of Skype. The earliest days, he had set up this is pretty advanced at like 2008. He had like the Wi-Fi transponder thing on his laptop, and he had, I believe it was Skype at the time. Yeah, Skype, and it was for him and his wife to communicate because on the road so much you want to communicate. It's the hardest thing ever is to maintain a relationship on the road. And I'm riding, and I forget one of my buddies is in the passenger seat. I think it was Ted Jr. actually, and before he'd come on TV. And Bob sitting in the back seat, and I was like, Bob, you want to sit up front? You're the veteran, please. And he goes, no, I'm good. And I can hear him and his wife. He's like, look, now I'm on a roller coaster. And they're like putting the like filters behind them. And this is this giant of a man, and I was like, that's cute, whatever. I'm just driving. It's literally a 40-mile drive to Green Bay, Wisconsin, which is where we were going. And then they're laughing, and they're literally playing with these filters so much. Like, now I'm on the beach. And then it got dead silent, just whew. And I'm thinking they're done, or the Wi-Fi's dropped. And I just look back, and I can see on his screen her face, and I see her just blink, and it's been 15 minutes of dead silence. They're literally just staring at each other. And Ted goes to say something, I go, no. And then Ted leans back and sees it, and he's just smiling at her. And no joke, I kid you not, 30 miles, dead silence, and they're just staring at each other. And that was it. That was the one where after I just said, I can't. I'm not ready for that. I don't know what that's about. But that was the moment that I just, no more, Bob, no more. Because I felt like now I'm going to be driving him around while he's just Skyping with the world. But just staring at each other. It's a terrifying moment. Terrifying.
That's when it all starts, when you start staring at each other, and then anyway, it continues. So you're with Hardcore Holly. Does he have a sense of humor? Like, is he quite a funny guy? Is he someone who's quite serious? Does he make Sparky Plug jokes? Like, what is he like as a guy?
As a like man, he was very kind to me for the most part. I know he had some troubles there that were unrelated to me, but he was very kind to me and he helped me out. And I don't think he knows. Essentially, the theme of the evening is another guy that absolutely I owe you to Bob Holly. You can say, like, I've heard people say he's a bully. I've heard him say he's reckless. I've heard all this stuff. With me, he was aces. He was aces. And when it came down to, okay, we're going with you and Teddy, and you're going to cut Bob out of the equation in kind of a vicious way. And this is on television. It's entertainment. Bob Holly he's got to let you do that. It's like Kurt Angle. He's as real gets. And he absolutely 100% did it with flying colors. And so another IOU for hardcore Bob Holly, for sure.
And then you go with Ted DiBiase Jr. That's the next phase of your career. How did you feel about that? About you going with another?
I hated him. He was just good looking. He was in better shape than me. I hated him.
Okay.
No, I mean that's some of the most fun I ever had in my career. There's a moment specific where I gave up on hating him because I was always. Vince built this, he used to call us his kids, and he built this camaraderie, but also this competitiveness between them. Like, there was one say, earshot, hey, Teddy, you got to bring him up to your level. 2 seconds later, Code, come here. Hey, he's not cutting it. You need to bring him up to your level. Like, it was a brewing competitiveness, but in wrestling, I think it's one thing to compete with others. It's best to compete with yourself. Like, what can I do to be the best me? You know, I already know what they have. Like, what can I do? And the defining moment with Teddy was like a few years in, really, maybe a year in. Teddy really liked to drink. I don't know if any of you ever stopped by a hotel bar after any of the shows and any of the arenas we did over here, specifically over here. Teddy really liked to throw down. And he's just so drunk that like his eyes are shut and he's sweating, and we're in catering after the show, and he just like stands up and walks over to this piano and flips the thing open, and I'm just watching him because I've seen this, and he starts playing the most beautiful song I've ever heard with his goddamn eyes shut. And I gave up. I no longer, there was no issue between him ever. I said, dude, he was a real life Mr. Perfect. Like, he did everything right, everything. And he could wrestle in his sleep. He was a legit, like, badass. So no one messed with Ted. So no one messed with me. Like, dude, that was the moment. I just, watching him, I think he played Jurassic Park as like the second song. And I just ate my food. Oh, it's so great, you know? Yeah, I love Teddy DiBiase. He apparently, whatever schemes he's doing, he has so many like irons in the fire, entrepreneurial like style. He's doesn't need wrestling, and good for Teddy for that.